All right. Hey everybody, welcome back to Collegiate R6. We're heading into our second series of the evening. We will be seeing Akron R6 versus the Université de Montréal. Really excited to get into this game. Two of the top teams across all of Collegiate, very well respected, and for good reason. I expect this series to go the full 3 maps. But speaking of maps, I've got my wonderful co-caster Al to walk us through the band phase. Well, we can kind of talk a little bit more about how these two teams like to play. Akron is a very aggressive and confident team. They are fully assured that they've got the gun skill to shut down Montreal, but that's not to discount the guns that we see on the opposing Canadian team. They're more of a structured roster, well known, in fact, for their very consolidated and regimented attacking strategies. And I'm excited to see, rather, if we're going to see maybe a more kind of attacker-sided, execute-favored game with Akron on the first defense that will give Montreal the ability to showcase their executions. I guess we can take this opportunity to talk more about the history of these two teams. Montreal are frankly the poster boys for Collegiate R6, being that they're from the hometown of Siege, obviously Montreal, the location of the Six Invitational, as well as Ubisoft's headquarters. Akron are a very storied team in that they have so many championship wins. They've won both the Spring League for CEA and CRSL, as well as the Fall League of Collegiate R6 last year. Both teams being 4-0 through the season. They've had a lot of successes, and this one will determine who, heading into our playoffs, is the better of the two teams. You could not ask for a better college match, in my opinion. And we have a bit more history. I can bring up Akron, their roster lineup as far as roles. You'll remember him if you follow T3 Siege at all. He played on Claw Central, which was kind of a middle of the pack T3 team, but they have a lot of good gun skill, or at least they did before he made the switch. I believe his former teammate Abate, you'll know him from Texas Tech, moved over towards, I want to say, First Attempt, which is a new and upcoming roster. I don't know what IMAT's stance is currently in T3, whether or not he's LFT or if he's still just focusing on his collegiate career. Montreal, a longtime team. I believe they've participated in every college season for CR6 aside from the very first opening season. I don't have solid data on that, but they're a very well-known name. What do you think about the maps, though? We see the T3 trifecta, the maps everyone comes to know and love. The maps are really well known, and so obviously that kind of moves the game less from being really centric on a map, being really prepared. A lot of times you'll see teams kind of hide one map away. Our previous teams that we were supposed to see in that original game, I believe it was um Illinois. They're hiding a couple of maps, so you might figure something out about that as we go into playoffs. But Clubhouse, Villa, and Cafe, not too much that you can hide there. And I think it'll come down to either a display overall of who's the better team, or maybe we'll see maybe a bit of focus on some pocket strategies. That can be a big difference maker rather. And I'm hoping on Clubhouse, maybe we'll see a little bit more action of the stock and bar bomb site.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to see those. I'm always excited to see those pocket pick strategies coming out. However, that being said, we're getting into our first map of Cafe very shortly, and I just want to see how these two teams set the tempo advantage. Whether we're going to see a fairly dominant series from one side or the other, like we saw in our previous best of three series, or whether we're going to see both teams step up on the day. We're going to see all the players really come to bat, have that fragging potential, and whether we're going to see some more contested 50-50s and have it less decided by the actual gun skill and more by how these teams prepare their default strategies and how they've drilled these attacking executes like we've seen in their previous games.
So the collegiate map pool is a bit of a uncertain factor for me. I don't have the most experience to make an overall statement, but I feel like it does kind of lean away from newer maps and focusing on more established strategies. And we can kind of rank them. Clubhouse, I feel like, has had a bit more in terms of, time to develop, obviously, it being one of the oldest maps in the pool. I think it is constantly the only map that's seen minimal change and still remain similar in the map pool as far as history goes, obviously it being one of the original release maps. Cafe just sees so much play, and I feel like that's what makes it kind of the most well understood map. And in our previous series, Kennesaw, they seem to know everything about this map. I'm wondering how it's going to break down between these two teams, and hopefully we see a bit more of an even game.
Yeah, and we'll have our first taste of our action as we move into this ban phase. Nothing out of the ordinary so far. Thatcher, pretty much a permanent ban. But as we say that, UDEM banning out the Blackbeard. And I have to say, in all of my prep through looking at the Pro League games, looking at map picks and bans, I have literally never seen a Blackbeard being banned on Cafe, let alone any map. Going into the second phase of the ban phase, Valkyrie, a very common operator to see banned out. Very often to see that player, that operator, especially on this map, being banned out, and likely the Mira coming out as well. But the Blackbeard, what do you make of that?
I feel like Blackbeard can be influential on a map like Cafe because there's, on the top floor, a big focus on the window play. Maybe this is them seeing, how much you need to rely on clearing pixel and choosing to have a Blackbeard. Maybe he decides to sit on the minibar window, holds down the angle, and makes sure while his team is focusing on clearing all the utility, the magnets, and the ADSs, should the player, often a Wamai in that spot, choose to peek up, he can be ready with a shield to defend his face and a rifle to gun them down.
Yeah. I'll be excited to see how they play, but we will see the third floor coming out first, and a very different setup to our previous match, bringing out the cave. We did not see that operator at all in the previous best of three. So we will be able to see how that affects the strategies of Akron moving into this map. Are they going to try and trick? Are they going to set and forget and go for a more presence? It'll be exciting to see. Two T5 SMGs as well as the 416 carbine it does play very well into the hands of a frag-heavy lineup, and I'll be excited to see how they're able to set up and how they'll stack up against a very tenured roster of UDEM.
So the only operator that I would point out here is maybe being a bit odd is the Legion. Legion is an operator who, in old metas, had a lot of play. Obviously, you can get a bit of intel when somebody steps in those mines, but following the nerf, he has seen a sharp drop-off in pick percentage. You can use him as a effective deterrent to shields, and he's got impact, so if you're looking at a clubhouse pick on the basement, he can be effective in that he can impact trick patch. But other than that, I'm not so sure about his effectiveness as compared to maybe a different intel operator such as a Maestro.
Yeah, he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. He gets some of the map control, he gets some of the information, but other operators do that job much better. And especially with the Maestro being one of those bulletproof gadgets, it is such a massive effect. But we can see Akron striking first, JetCon playing an aggressive angle, not giving the members of UDEM any ground for free, challenging every angle, and I think that's going to be representative of our match to come, as we can see each team slowly pushing themselves over, not contesting that pixel angle without the Wamai being played. So an interesting setup from Akron, but the aggressive plays are working out.
As you say that, a nice little grenade drops down to achieve a refrag, even if that wasn't the intention, but Bananas will follow up with his second kill. Sledge appearing inside Cigar Shop with the L85. Tagged up a little bit. Overall, Akron still in the health advantage, but Hennessy playing this gunfight a very 50-50 situation. He could pop up, he could get lucky. Ton of flashbangs clearing out white position. He's dodging back and forth, but it'll actually be Vitriol to get that kill. The K from inside of Freezer, locking down the Ash through the bathroom rotate. Bit of hard breaching going on. Opening up, I believe that's the trash wall, and a wonderful long angle from the Ace. He takes out Vitriol, a late refrag, but getting the kill nonetheless. Now in a 2-on-2. Bananas, low HP, could very well become the victim, and in fact he will. A jump up from the Legion as IMAT collects for 2 big kills. Akron secure round number 1.
Yeah, and they forewent the default strategy of holding Pixel with a Wamai, and they went for a very aggressive play, a controlled, measured aggression that played out absolutely perfectly. The aggression coming out from JetCon on the Jaeger, combined with IMAT with some great late round roams, utilizing that T5 SMG to perfection, was incredible. I'm so excited to see how this map unfolds with how well UA have been stepping up.
Defenders,
and
protect your bombs from being defused by attackers.
They just look so prepared. Both teams have amazing micro and macro strategies, but I think Akron throwing out some non-default strategies is going to force them to really try and make these mid-round adaptations. They're not exactly prepared for these unique strategies that Akron are bringing, and I think that could be the ace up their sleeve that allows them to really strike out and find these early defense rounds to set the tempo of this match.
10 seconds left.
You know, it's really unusual to see the attackers struggle to execute when they don't have to clear pixel. It was practically given up in this round.
Attackers are moving to defuse a bomb.
And so I wonder if that just comes down to Akron being really aggressive. We saw the Jaeger not only get the opening pick, but swing wide and take out the Nomad as well. Part of me wonders maybe if had he not gotten that opening pick, instead being shut down by Platts, would that round have gone the same way? Being that Akron could have had much more flexibility, or rather UDEM could have in their execute. They wouldn't have worried about the constantly re-aggressing pressure from the new drop.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there, and I have to say that with the style, with the draft that Akron are bringing, they don't have the Wamai, they don't have that same aggressive utility that you would see in typically other comps. And they're going to rely on them getting frags. If they're not finding impact in terms of the frags or the delay from the roamers later into these rounds, then I think that UDEM are going to be able to walk all over them with these stronger default strategies. As we can see, I believe Freezer being opened up, Vitriol not able to get that Cade trick in position, and UDEM now, they haven't lost a man early. They're not falling victim to these flanks just yet. And they're in a very good position. However, if Matt and JetCon can collapse from the positions that they have, this could spell disaster for the side of UDEM.
Wow, nice shot there by Max Payne. He shoots the Nitro Cell out of the air, and Platz will shut him down. Akron need to get a bit more active. This extended roam has found no kills so far. Platz will go on drone. This leaves him weak to JetCon should he move down the hallway, but he'll get off. Zofia, well aware, I believe, of this position, still holding the angle and swinging around the corner. Wiz takes a kill in sight, but no! How does he lose that? A Nitro Cell attempting to deny the plant hits Wiz, but it'll go down nonetheless. Oh, so crucial. A missed shot onto the player inside Freezer. He spots the other one, the Ash, attempting to jump on up. Will net Hennessy a second kill, sitting at a 3-2. The defenders are in such a terrible spot. The attempted rotate down the brown stairs. Hennessy looks to maybe ninja defuse it, but there's no room to get it done. So many attackers from the University of Montreal constantly swarming around him, and they take a round in response to an early defender success.
That goes to show how well UDEM play these default strategies, and I think that also goes to show the draft and the style of play that Akron are looking for. They need to find kills. If they don't find kills, if they don't slow down their opponents, then the superior utility, gadgetry, and overall arsenal that the attackers have will just be able to gain the map control, set themselves up in good positions for those angles for the post-plant positions. And Akron, with their limited amounts of utility, bring the more roam-heavy, frag-heavy composition, will not be able to deal with it. Now we move on to the second floor, and I think that this is, in my opinion, the best site to defend. Not only do you have that third floor to hold on to that vertical presence, but you have the ability to fall back once that position has been compromised. Really force your opponents to step the tempo up early,
Attackers have discovered the location of a
not
bomb.
give any frags over. And it's a very difficult position to defend, but if you can defend it well, if you have the strategies, and I'm pretty sure Akron
10
do,
seconds to go.
it's going to be a nightmare for the attackers to manage.
5
But
seconds remaining.
once again, it is going to come down to whether Akron can find these dirty kills. I think that bringing this strategy with the more utility operators, with the more strategic-based systems instead of the Legion, which kind of sacrifices a lot of that, it's going to benefit them. But UDEM have looked very strong. They've looked so methodical. They haven't been making any misplays, and they've also just been winning their gunfights. Platz with an incredible kill onto JetCon in the previous round, really saving their first floor control. And it's just been back and forth, both teams with advantages, both teams with opportunities to take the round. It could go either way.
I was a bit skeptical of UDEM's lack of a roam clear in the previous round, instead focusing on a complete bypass of the roamers, but I don't think Akron was prepared for Montreal to ignore them, and in this round, I'm not so sure if they'll be prepared either. We'll see an attempt at a train bypass. You can see two players pushing in through the mining hallway. The Ash jumping on in. Will, I imagine, spot the castle. If she doesn't win this gunfight, though, this is critical. And is there a refrag? We're still waiting on a response from that. No, 2 kills for the castle. Whipping out the shotgun to confirm that kill. And now, UDEM are starting to feel the pain. Their attempt at a train bypass a bit fumbled, and the castle inside of the train car standing tall in opposition.
And how is Hennessy able to find those 2 kills? That is ridiculous. The UMP-45 is arguably one of the worst primary weapons in the game, and he's finding a third on the board. Hennessy is going absolutely mental. UDEM find a trade frag in return, but they're able to get the castle down. However, there's still the roamers. JetCon able to find a frag, and UDEM now just left onto Max Payne in a 1v3.
Going to repel in, maybe try and retrieve the diffuser. They seem to be well aware, though, of the Ace's position, and the Melusi, doesn't actually get this kill. Tucked up closer to the wall. Now they've got to relay this intel. Nobody able to connect these shots, and actually triggering one of the air jabs. The pulse will move on through, though, and it seems they trade. Akron, well prepared for the attempt at the train bypass that castle. His performance in the round crucial to their success in slowing everything down, and the chaos that unfolded on the mid floor ultimately was the Canadian downfall.
Yeah, UA playing that measured aggression, and it worked out perfectly. Not only that, but the roamers finding presence, and I think that is one of the aspects of the second floor site that make it so powerful, is the impact that roamers have. You can't make your default plants if there are still roamers on that third floor. The vertical power is just too strong, and while you may be able to make a bakery sided take or a first floor take on the first floor actually work, you're not able to do the same thing on the second floor, and Akron punishing them for that. But as we move on to the second defensive rotation, we do have to acknowledge the fact that this is typically a map that goes to a 3-3 or a 4-2 split in the favor of the defense. And Montreal, if they're not able to find themselves a split half at 3-3 or an advantage at 4-2, that's not anything too concerning. It's more going to come down to the manner in which they lose these rounds. And if Akron are able to just keep up this almost impeccable form, they are going to be in a very good position going into the second half. They look so solid. They look like they have some great strategies. And if they're able to get their roamers to consistently have impact on these rounds, UDEM are going to need to pay attention. They're going to need to clear these players out. Otherwise, they're just going to start losing more and more map control and more rounds.
We would hope that UDEM are prepared for JetCon in this position. We saw him get the opening kill of this series, in fact, from the spot. And a lot of flashbangs being tossed down the hatch. Makes me think there is some thought of their mind to drop bar, but ultimately, I don't think UDEM is that foolhardy enough to attempt it. JetCon could be quite victim to a frag grenade here if they clear the ADS, which I'm hoping he has, and seeing that he is, I think, rehearsed in this position, it seems like they are really confident that he can survive here, and I am also believe that's in part to do with the lack of the pixel. We don't see a Wamaiban, which is typically when you would see a team fall back from holding this position, so I'm a bit wondering, why this may be. And that would be an interview question if we do end up having one.
Yeah, I am kind of perplexed by that. It is going to have larger implications, but the fact that Akron aren't bringing in a Maestro could have something to deal with that. They don't need to keep these bulletproof gadgets alive later into the rounds. They're more focused on forcing their opponents into blind gunfights, and they have a ton of roaming presence. And Max Payne finding the initial kill onto JetCon is going to remove one of those crucial elements. Akron aren't able to get those roaming players of JetCon to find those frags, and while Matt is still on the flank, I believe he's already expended his nitro self. He's going to need to go for the flank. And Montreal, they're in a very good position now that they're able to get control without this pixel position being the menace that it typically is.
They managed to down Vitriol, though, failing to confirm him just yet. I bet Akron is wishing they had a dock to stem him up at the moment, but ultimately you'll see the drone move on through. That should confirm him and give the Ash the opportunity to rush up and confirm the kill. In fact, he will. Bananas within frag of his own, taking out, looks like that was Arbs. You lost your smoke, and with that, your ability to deny the plant is gone. IMAT, having wasted his nitro cell early in the round, will lead this into a post-point situation, so is not done in his efforts to retake. Oh, so crucial. He might have taken out Max Payne had he not been launched backward by the air jab. NSC will get his kill, so I guess the revenge is there. And jumping on through, he has to take out the prone player, and unfortunately, it's so incredibly difficult. Gives Bananas plenty of time, and, well, the L85 trumps the RO50.
Yeah, this is playing out one of two ways in this match. Either the side of Akron finds immense pressure with their roams, they just stomp their opponents with these aggressive plays, and they win the round quite early on. Or the side of Montreal is able to slowly choke out their opponents, find the initial frag, and then just circle them like wolves. Let them feel the wrath of losing the map control, weather the storm, utilize that nomad air jab to the best of its abilities, and just slowly converge on that final resting position of their opponents. Not bringing a
Defenders,
Wamai
protect your
means
bombs
that
from
you
being
don't
defused
have the
by
same map
attackers.
control. You don't have that same horizontal presence. And Montreal, as such, do not need to expend
Bomb located by
nearly
attackers.
as much time, utility, and manpower to clear out these positions. As such, Akron are almost forced into a position where they need to find kills as such, because they're not going to have the strategies in terms of map control to rely on to gain that map presence. We can see some adaptations. They're going
10
for the
seconds to go.
full reinforcements on the bathroom wall this time around, not
5 seconds to insertion.
giving Vitriol that same window of opportunity to place
Attackers
spoiler
moving
to
to
those
defuse the
positions.
bomb.
However, they're going to play with these Cade charges to deny those walls. They're going to look for those plays in order to hold that position, and perhaps play a bit further back, utilize that hard breach denial to keep those walls open later into the rounds, and give more time for the side of Akron to get those roam players online and allow them to find the frags. But it's really going to come down to how well Akron play around their roamers and how well UDEM are prepared to deal with them. And it looks like they are prepared as they find the first kill in this round.
I'm wondering where that kill went down, because that could be a crucial removal of positions here, and perhaps we will soon know. Oh, it was the player on the white stairs. That is unfortunate. I was catching him out. I guess the Blackbeard band does make a bit of sense, since Platts seems to be a key player on that rappel angle. And I'm glad to see the series be a bit more back and forth, and UDEM are constantly responding to the aggression from Akron with a strong and measured response, and it provides a much more enjoyable viewing experience for our Friday night college action. But UDEM establishing themselves in the man advantage have seemed strong in the spot, but JetCon, well, he's got something to say about that, and trading things back. Did Zofia drop the skylight? It looked like she was well prepared to. Nope, still waiting, and obviously she's got to be a bit afraid of JetCon. He's forced for getting shot up to make an aggressive play, but he'll get a kill into silence. So many players constantly surrounding him. JetCon will fall. UDEM are still in a shaky spot, though. Vitriol putting it into a 2-on-2. This should be an easy swing for the attacking player. Looks like that's Max Payne, and Platt's dead as well. Matt with 2. Looks like that P10 Roni just working out for him, and Akron are just constantly back and forth. They'll drop around and come back with one even stronger.
Yeah, Montreal, they're doing their best to gain that map control. An early pick on to the Malusi of Hennessy in that previous round gave them that leg up. And as such, Akron needed to make those aggressive plays. They needed to break that chokehold that Montreal has been putting them in time and time again when they do get the initial frag. And JetCon was able to do just that. He found Nomad through that, I believe that was the skylight once again, and a great swing, somehow able to beat out the pre-fire from
Attackers need to
silence,
locate and
able to
defuse bombs.
negotiate the crossfire that Montreal had set up for him, finding those trade kills, and it just went from there back and forth and back and forth, with Akron just barely edging out their opponent. You couldn't ask for a more evenly matched game, as both teams, they're playing their play styles to a T. They're trying to counter their opponents, and each team is really adapting to the circumstances they're put in absolutely amazingly. And I'm excited to see this go likely a full 3 maps.
You come out of a 3-3 split, as it seems this is heading towards for Cafe. You would expect traditionally the defense to have a lot more success, but I feel like this is just going to be an even match all the way through. I'm excited to see, you know, with UDEM having such confidence in their attacking strategies, I really hope that they've got something innovative to show for us on their defense. Maybe something like we saw with that double kind of castle on the bathroom door from our earlier series. That was certainly a strategy from Kennesaw that could have seen a bit more light.
Yeah, I think that the castle does bring in some very interesting aspects, but with Akron's unwillingness to bring out the Wamai, I don't think it'll have as much of an impact. One of the big things about Castle is that he slows down your opponents and forces them to use that explosive utility. However, with the side of Akron not bringing that Wamai, they don't have those additional pieces of utility denial at their availability. And the side of Montreal will have more than enough explosive utility to spread around, and I think that operator wouldn't exactly find this much impact. But it's just going to come down to this back and forth once again. Are Akron going to be able to make these roams work? Is Hennessy able to find the Nitro Cell kills with the free place? Is he able to find enough utility? Or are Montreal, with the map control that they are just being given for free, able to walk all over their opponents with it?
Well, the Legion attempting... Was that the Legion? Actually, the Melusa, I believe, I'm attempting a run out through the bakery door. I'm not sure what the objective was there. We don't have any players on the south lapel. Oh,
the Nitro!
Wonderful Nitro! Way down low. Hennessy, despite his low health, will get himself a kill, and GenCon finding 2 before Wiz and Banana sound off. Once again, another even round here. Hennessy is an easy target, a weak gun, and a weak operator.
Bomb located by attacker.
Health, but you gotta worry about this roamer down at the bottom of the brown stairs. Timeout, full health is a bad situation for any team, considering his massive amount of gun skill. And let's watching and wait. Try and find somebody else. I'm wondering if Arv has a Nitro Cell himself. That could prove a bit of a stumbling block, and he tosses it up. Well, this might just be a 1-on-3.
Yeah, this is the aspect that I really think brings this site to be one of the most difficult to attack. Not only do you have to gain control of this third floor because of the vertical presence that it provides and the ability for it to pretty much single-handedly shut down any post-plant opportunity from above, but you now have to make the execute onto the second floor. Time is ticking down. UDEM have just had time wasted. Akron have played this to perfection, and with the kills being found, Akron just starve their opponents out of time. They run the clock down, and they find an immaculate fourth round on the board as they round out that half 4-2. And both teams, they've just shown up on the day. The fragging potential of Akron has shown up. Hennessy with an amazing pre-placed Nitro Cell, able to start that off. And then Akron, knowing they have the man advantage, they just traded 1 for 1 for 1 for 1, bringing their opponents down low. It's been an amazing half, and I'm excited to see what Montreal, the more structured, fundamental team, have for us on this defense side. And it looks to be the absolutely just oppressive shield strat with the Jaeger-Wamai combination, as well as Maestro with those bulletproof cameras, as well as 3 deployable shields. This is going to be a nightmare for Akron to deal with. It's going to be a fundamentally different strategy in terms of forcing your opponents to utilize a more utility-centric, utility burn-centric playstyle instead of the heavy, aggressive roam presence. And it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams adapt to their opponents' playstyles.
I want to talk, if I may, just for a minute about what we saw on that last defense. It was genius from Akron. They knew playing inside of reading wouldn't work because of the vertical play UDEM were establishing upstairs in Cocktail and Bar. So what they did is they had one player hold just outside of the reading door in Red Hall. They had the Pulse playing for intel below inside dining. And then they had IMAT wait down on the brown stairs. And they also had all of the utilities stacked up inside of reading. So if Yuda had attempted the execute, they would have walked in, they would have been slowed by the Banshees, which gave perfect opportunity for IMAT to sneak up the stairs and trade things back. And that left basically a no-win situation for Montreal to find their way back into it.
Yeah, I think that's excellent to see. Both of these teams, they're playing their play styles. They're enabling them with their strategy, and I think that's excellent to see. These teams aren't just trying to see, okay, what is Space Station doing? What's Dark Zero doing? And let's just copy that. No, they're recognizing, okay, here's the bits and pieces that we can bring from them. But how do we play our style? How do we play how we want to play as a team? And I think that speaks measures. They're going to go much further playing their own style, and I really like how they've set themselves up. However, as we see, this has been a very quiet round. Akron, they've been clearing out the second floor. They've been doing their due diligence, but this is a third floor take. They're going to need to do a bit more than just that. They're going to need to start finding this presence in his Hennessy. I believe that's a motion detector or maybe either one of those frisbee discs. It's a bane of his existence. And UDEM, with the time on their side, they have the massive advantage. And now with Bananas finding an initial kill, Akron are in now a very difficult position.
It's going to be a real struggle to execute. Not only is there all of this utility inside to slow things down, if you get too close to the middle of Cigar, you could have a Goyo shield detonate. It looks like they'll choose to break it, but 50 seconds without pixel clears, I think almost kind of confirms this to be a UDAM round. With IMAT dead, one of your key entry fraggers, as well as Hennessy on low HP, it's going to be so difficult to execute, and Wiz just gets another kill, shutting down Arb. And so now you've got not only your IQ on low health, but also your ace dead, all your hard breach gone, and looks like trying to funnel through the cigar shop door, they get a bit jumbled up. They're all stuck in each other, and Platts swinging out from Shaiko's spot secures this as a flawless round for UDEM, and a wonderful defense, perfectly picking apart the Akron offense, making things go so slow, forcing them to clear all of this utility, and meanwhile, them getting plenty of frags to go along with it.
Yeah, they played that utility burn, as some casters would deem it, the 20-second meta, to perfection. They forced their opponents to burn out that utility. The Maestro not being able to be taken out until very late into the round. The Goyo shields taking so much of that explosive utility. And Bananas playing in that pixel angle until the very end of that round, able to find frags, able to shut their opponents down. That was absolutely flawless, as that round would suggest. The Maestro, not only does he find information, but he's, well, just a pain to deal with. As you could see in that previous round, Hennessy was taken down to around 40 points of health by just Max Payne sitting on the cameras. UDEM, they were in such a comfortable position. They could just play that war of attrition with their opponents, and they knew they were going to come out on top. Akron, what I want to see from them is more proactive play style. Going on to the second half, going into this first attacking round, they obviously needed to drone out more carefully, suss out how UDEM were playing. But now that they have a bit of a gauge on how their opponents are playing, they need to step up the tempo, because UDEM, they're going to burn it down. They're not going to make these aggressive early game plays that Akron has made on their defense. They're just going to simply let their opponents come to them, realize that time is on their side, utilize that sixth defender to perfection, and play that final round play to a T. I'm excited to see how they bring it out, and I'm excited to see how Akron are stepping up to this challenge.
Well, that's launched backwards a little bit, forced to adjust his position. It seems like Castle, I wonder if he is trying to contest with this main door player. It doesn't seem like Hennessy really wants to give this up. But stalling out is not what you want to see from Akron. They, with all this utility to clear, have to move fast. But it just isn't happening. You still got players to worry about inside bar or bakery. They'll remove the castle, so this should make them able to clear things here. Jaeger getting incredibly aggressive. Silence, though, dies. I believe that's behind the bar, so this should only be one final player inside Baker for them to clear. And do they know he's here?
They don't clear him.
Let's! Oh no, you gotta have your drones, and that'll put it even. He finds a double kill. And just a terrible sequence of events.
Akron, though, bouncing back, not letting that deter them at all. They're stepping up, but these trade frags are coming back both ways. The pendulum is swinging in either direction. Akron, though, swing back. The man advantage is now on neither player's side, but the defense side, they do have that 6th defender of Father Time on their side. UDEM are comfortable waiting it out. They, I believe, have the ability to deny the plant from range, and the crossfire is looking so strong. But Akron, they're in a position. UDEM now have to push. The onus is on them as they move into this post play.
It's going to be difficult to win this out, and ooh, Bananas with a nice kill there, a bit of flourish as he shuts down Vitriol, but JetCon will finish him off. The Zofia finding a huge quad kill. Akron, what a wonderful performance despite a small misstep attacking the bakery.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to a lot of making that attack earlier into the round. If they made that execute onto bakery with a minute remaining on the clock, Platts still gets that double kill and gets traded out. If all things happen as it exactly did in the previous round, then Montreal would have a much greater advantage. The side of Akron would have to rush that 3v3 into a 2v2 quicker. They wouldn't have had the same time to set up their crossfires, to set up that post-plant position,
Need to
and
locate
force
and
the
defuse
castle
as many
into an
bombs as they can.
unfortunate angle. And Akron, as such, they got themselves into a much more stable position. It was incredible to see. I really like how Akron dealt with it. They stepped up the tempo, and Montreal now have to find a way to slow down this aggression. They have to put some roadblocks in, and I think going down up to this second floor, where you have this solid third floor control that UDEM played nearly flawlessly in the first round of this half, is a good opportunity. Akron, though, they've looked solid. If they can continue this tempo, if they can continue this early round pace, they'll be looked to set to get map point.
Akron really set the pace on this bomb site with how they defended it earlier, and UDEM are going to have to come up with quite an interesting strategy to outdo their Malusi offsite hold we saw last time. Platts, is he holding bullet holes through the bathroom wall? That is a bit risky, though. Oh, so it's a punch
adventurous.
hole. It is, and if they try to rush up here, Akron obviously having a lot of issues with the time management in rounds prior, they might just get a bit too quick on that rush into freezer, but Platts will give it up. He's not going to sit there the whole round. The mark of a smart player. You never want to just, see an aggressive spot, an opportunity, and just sit there the entire round, because Akron, I kind of imagine, and I would hope for such a strong team as them, they would drone this out and not going to fall to just such a risky play.
Yeah, but they're falling risk to their previous strategies. They're not moving on to the third floor as quickly as I would have expected them to do. But now that they are making this move, they're making it decisively. They're making this execute swift, and they're gaining map control. However, time is still really in an interesting position. They need to start stepping up this tempo. They need to force Platts and Bananas out of position. Otherwise, UDEM are just going to be able to burn the time out, fall back on site with the 5v5, and then it's a very defender-sided round at that point.
Oh, Well, Max Payne will get a nice shot through the floor there. This attack really being stalled out by the Mute Jammer. They cannot open the freezer wall, something we saw UDEM do in their attempt to attack this bomb site. And so they force a rotate, 4-man stack down through mine, and Wiz will find the first kill, putting this up by 2. Almost a second there as he deals a bit of damage, and no, the SMG-11 around the corner. Silence finds 2. Will UDEM take another flawless round? Maybe not. Vitriol, though, and it's an air tap watching people about. Another flawless defense. What an impressive showing from Montreal, and that is so incredible to see.
Yeah, Akron, they were doing their due diligence with their droning, but because they took so long to enter the building, only able to get onto that third floor with, I believe, 2 minutes on the clock, or a minute and 45, when they ran into the roadblocks, they didn't have the time and utility to deal with them. The Mute Jammer posed too great of a threat, and making that execute without control of the third floor, it's going to be disastrous. You can't make your executes onto, I believe that's the north side of the map, as the play from Cocktail is just going to be too strong to deny the plants there. And making a linear push, it just funnels you into the crossfires of UDEM, who, to their credit, played every gunfight perfectly. They didn't expose themselves too much. Wiz, he found his first kill. He didn't re-aggress too greedily. He let those rotates come in from silence. And then when they had the nitro cells, when they had the close range SMG and shotgun, they just punished their opponents for their transgressions.
5 seconds left.
And they just played that perfectly. Both teams, when they find their advantages, they know how to exploit them. You give either team an inch and they will take a mile. And I am just so excited to see how back and forth this series has gone, and which team is going to really be able to evolve to counter their opponent best in this series.
Spot on the money there, and I think the previous round has in itself a bit of a lesson for Akron. You are not going to find a whole lot of success attacking UDEM's setup on its strongest point, and so that puts you in a spot where you need to make an early decision. Are you going to do that? Are you going to attack it traditionally, or are you going to go about things a different way? Well, it seems in this round, we might just have that. Buck sneaking up the white stairs. Silence lies in wait, and if they don't know he's sitting in this corner, he could easily go down. Silence is really in a precarious spot. He, I believe, knows the Buck is downstairs, so he's waiting. Oh, the brief fire! No, so close, but ultimately, Jetcon, what are you doing, Silence? You need to not get tucked up on that window, or you are going to get put down. And IMAT, with a perfect reposition to the Whitehall window, will take down the Mute. Wiz, though, still rocking out in this pixel position.
Yeah, that was one of the issues that we criticized in our first series. The teams were one team, who was 7-1 2 times in a row, was unable to trade their frags back, and that's why they, in large part, were losing that series in such a dominating fashion. And neither of these teams are getting anything for free. UDEM, they lose a kill, they get one right back. Akron, they're not given anything for free, and both these teams are playing this to a T. Now as we move into the final minute, it's going to be absolute chaos.
Oh no, he was looking the wrong way. IMAT goes down, and a freebie given to Platts below. The Wamai, however, goes down in the trade game. It just continues on in this game. Tennessee will begin to take control of what UDEM once held. They're going to need to get this wall open, though, in order to formulate their offense. Forcing through the bathroom is a terrible idea, especially when you've got a strong player like Bananas waiting to gun you down. And this seems like Akron are starting to get a bit wary, and just as I say that, Bananas starts off with one, and a perfect reposition catches the Nomad off guard, and Bananas might wrap around for the left, right, left to get all three hooks, though Hennessy will find one to the long angle from Maestro's spot, held by the operator himself. UDEM with another round making this a continually close game.
And this is coming down to the wire time and time again. UDEM with the roam. We haven't seen them find as much presence on the roam as their opponents did with hyper aggressive plays from JetCon and IMAT in the previous game. But this time around, I believe that was Bananas on the Malusi in the previous round, able to find a crucial kill onto the buck of IMAT, but not to be traded out. They, with the allocation of all three members over towards the piano position, were able to
Defenders,
force
protect
the
your bombs from being
Wamai
defused by attackers.
out and find the kill. Both teams are trading excellently, but with time ticking down, with UDEM playing their utility burn meta to perfection, they were just able to barely edge out their opponents, give Max Payne and the opportunity to hold that angle down with the Alda 5.56, and just a beautiful play from the Jaeger to find those 2 kills, opening up that round and really solidifying their lead. We come now to a 5-5 scoreline. Each of these teams has the opportunity to push this to nap point. I hope that we go to overtime, and just with how close these teams have been, with how close these teams have put themselves in terms of their strategy, as well as their fragging potential, this is surely going to go the full distance of the 3 rounds.
Well, you'll remember Kitchen is the one bomb site Akron have been able to win so far, and take a look at this. We've got a castle strategy holding the top, or rather the mid floor. This is something I've never seen before. Really creative from UDEM. They see, the value. Is this like an SSG roam for Cafe? Because that's exactly what this feels like. You've got all the castle barricades that you would see in a normal SSG roam. You've got the hatch open inside dining as well. This is really innovative. That's exactly what I said. I was hoping that UDEM would come with something creative for their defensive strategies, and this is the hallmark of a good team.
Yeah, and we do understand why SSG pioneered their trademark roam strategy. It was to counter hyper-aggressive teams like Team Liquid. And Akron, they are a very aggressive team. Now, I wouldn't say that they're exactly like Team Liquid, but the same principles do apply. Montreal are adapting to their opponents. They're evolving their strategies, and I think that they'll be able to push this over the line. Akron, they're going to need something equally or more so spectacular to push this over the line, as UDEM are just burning time out, they're burning the clock down, and they're keeping their members alive.
Well, if we're taking a look at this defense with the scope of an SSG roam, as you would see on Clubhouse, you have to focus on, the 2 ways to attack it. And there's the more difficult way, which is just try to go for a normal top floor, mid floor roam clear take. Or you can do what I think Akron are in part and attempt to bypass it by pushing through Bakery. Unfortunate that Arv goes down after trying to aggress onto Silence, though the mute will die in the end of things, so overall a good trade. But at 54 seconds with vertical control still handedly for the defense, this is great from them, and they should have no trouble denying the plant.
Yeah, it is absolutely beautiful. Akron, though, they're so good in terms of the fragging potential, and they can go full send. It is absolutely incredible coming out from them. Hennessy is able to find an initial kill, and now all of a sudden, UDEM, they're in a difficult position, a 2v3 to hold off this post-plant position. Akron are finding the kills. JetCon now with the triple kill in favor, and it's just flat into a 1v3. The T5 SMG is very good. Malusi is a powerful operator, and Platts is a very strong player, but this is a monstrous task for him to manage. He goes for the clear, but Hennessy finds his 4th round on the board. An incredible play from Akron, bypassing the incredible Roan coming out. Stick, that was incredible to see.
It really was. This is fundamentally genius. It's so rare for me to see a strategy that I've never seen executed before, and matters so much more that we're in a college game. UDEM are an incredibly strong team, but ultimately However smart their strategy was, the quick thinking and the decision making from Akron ultimately changed the course of that round. And it shows that
Defenders,
UDEM, they're
protect your
smart,
bombs from
they're
being
creative,
defused
they
by
come into
attackers.
this with a good strategy, and Akron are ready to make the necessary adaptations to win.
Yeah, Akron, they've shown that they're able to adapt. One of the key ways that you can play against that SSG style roam is to heavily invest into that, which to a degree Akron did do. They had Matt, I believe, playing on the 3rd floor, and he was able to find a kill. He was able to slow down the presence of UDEM on that 2nd floor. And crucially, delay the vertical play coming out from Montreal. Then on the 1st floor, you had the remaining 4 players of Akron go full send. And when they went full send, they played it to a T. JetCon is absolutely insane. 14 kills so far. Absolutely ridiculous. You're having players step up. Arv may not have the frags, he may not have those highlight reels, but he's a great supportive player. Playing that hard breach role, he was able to get the necessary precautions down for the side of Akron, and they are basking in the fruits of their labor as they now are on map point. It comes down to this 2nd floor and a round that UDEM won handily the first time they went to it. It's going to require another incredible adaptation for Akron, and I can't wait to see what they bring for us in this round.
Well, this is something I wanted to bring up in the post-analysis of the round, and I think rappelling on the north face of this building, so it's the east face, the compass did me wrong, but the rappel from JetCon, this is the right change you need to make. When you can't get open the freezer wall, you need to apply pressure from somewhere else, and doing that through bar is risky because you'll get, nitroed from below. Doing it through Whitehall has a lot of trouble because you need to worry about somebody just peeking up from the white stairs down low, and so the rappel is kind of the perfect mix. If anybody tries to rotate, they try to drop the hatch, you instantly take them out. But unfortunately, the Sophia misses a crucial opportunity to take down Platts, who is able to reposition inside of Tarp Corner. The Buck will begin the soft reaching process, but ultimately in this round, I think Akron are suffering from some of the same problems as we saw earlier. Maybe this won't end in a flawless like we saw earlier in round number 9, but I think this still probably means we'll be headed to OT at the very least.
Yeah, Arv stepping up, finding a kill is what they need at the very least, but Banana's still holding on for dear life, and he's able to find a kill. He is traded out, but UDEM still holding on for dear life. However, Platts going down on this 3rd floor does cost them dearly. He should have fallen back, in my opinion, as now Akron have a 4v2 opportunity. They have a bit of breathing room now in their favor. It's still a difficult position. Max Payne still has this Alda 556 that has the potential to just mow down legions of players, but they're in a very good situation to close this out in conventional time.
Yeah, we'll see Hennessy drop down and now force this Wiz. The hopes of his team to take their map pick are now left entirely on his shoulders. He'll drop down through the hatch, but oh no! The rotate is not made properly. The sound cue shouldn't be there for Akron, and all they need to do is watch the flank. JetCon is focused up towards the hatch, which seems to be Wiz's next destination. But with so little time and all players accounted for, this seems like a solid round, and in fact it will. Akron stealing the University of Montreal's map pick in a 7-5 fashion despite some strong defensive setups. Ultimately, that Sophia player came up big to bring his team home their first map win.
Yeah, and that just brief glimpse of that scoreboard was just an absolute incredible scene to set. JetCon with 17 kills. Absolutely standout performance. It did go pretty much the full distance without it going to overtime. And I think that speaks volumes to how well Akron are able to adapt. On the 2nd floor attack, you need to take control of the 3rd floor, as that vertical presence is so powerful at denying those default plants. If you're able to clear that out in time, that's a very good sign. But The difficult aspect of clearing that out is the defense has the opportunity to rotate back through White Stairs and through the hatch without dying. And the crucial thing that Akron did was they closed those opportunities off. They didn't let the Wamai drop down. They were able to force the Jaeger into taking a gunfight that didn't allow him to vault back down. And it forced them into, instead of a 3v4 on the second floor or a 4v4 with the attackers still having to take second floor, it gave them the crucial breathing room they needed. And Akron, they just set themselves up perfectly. Montreal, they look like a standout team. They look so prepared for this series, and I'm excited to see it go on to our second map.
A wonderful illustration and exactly correct for the final round in UDEM's downfall. We'll be back with more Friday Night College action after a short 5-minute break, so stick with us and we'll be back for the action on Villa.
Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you. In the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are going to go on to our second map of this best of three series, being on Villa. Akron will be starting on defense. And now that my producer hasn't muted my mic, we'll be able to talk about the strategies that these teams are going to bring out. Unlike our previous series, today or our series yesterday, we have some amazing, very deep strategies coming out from both teams, and both teams have just been adapting to each other amazingly. Now that we move on to Akron's map pick, who do you think is going to come out on top? And what are the strategies that you want our viewers to watch out for as we move on to this map of Villa?
Well, Villa is a map that encounters a lot of extension strategies, especially when you're looking at the statuary bomb site. The only way, frankly, to hold it is either by extending into Master Bedroom, extending into Aviator and Games, or both. And that also can be said for a lot of the downstairs bomb sites. You need to make sure that you maintain control of the vertical play. Otherwise, the attackers are going to wallop you, and there's really no other way about it. With Akron starting off on the defense, UW, they need to have strong attacking executes like we saw in some of the rounds for Cafe. And once we hit the side switch, our first map didn't go to overtime, but Villa, I almost guarantee you it will. It's one of those maps. It's the middle of the series. This is when it's going to go to OT. But both teams are ready, and we're good to go to head into the action. Villa up next, and we can take a deep dive into the operator bands.
Yeah, and our first indication of the strategies that these teams will have for us today will come in this ban phase. Now, with Echo still being temporarily disabled due to some issues with invulnerable yokai drones, that's going to be very beneficial for the attackers. Thatcher ban, who'da thunk? It's almost like he's never played because he's always banned. He allows the attackers to just speed up the attacks. He's not exactly the linchpin that other operators are. He just allows the attackers to speed up that tempo in a way that isn't seen on many other operators. I'm excited to see how these teams play around it. Again, a Montaigne ban coming out. We've seen this operator banned out time and time again. And I have to say, I don't see that operator being banned out all that often on this map of Villa. It's more common on a map like Cafe, where we see teams like G2 run it, but I'll have to see how do Akron play around that. How are the strategies going to develop with other operators still on the board? It'll be exciting to see.
You know, forgive me, but I would honestly say Monty is decently influential for Villa. He can be so helpful when you're attacking Aviator Games because pushing down the long haul is just the dread of a lot of players. You need to have a high level of coordination in order to execute that flawlessly, and the Monty, being that he has a shield, can push on through without having to worry about taking a bunch of damage with a defender gunning you down. We'll be heading to Aviator Games as it is for our first bomb site. The Maestro, one of the most powerful, most oft-picked operators, will be in play here, and we'll see the Ace, our sole hard breach for this initial bomb site.
Yeah, and Maestro returning to his home territory, introduced in Operation Parabellum. It just speaks volumes to how well this game has adapted. When this map was first introduced to Pro League, in the first seasons of its introduction, it was played a grand total of once across Europe and the North American ESL Pro Leagues. Now, it is the staple of all competition. We've seen it played time and time again. It is a requirement that you play this map, and I think that Akron, moving on to this map, they'll be able to bring out some different styles. Wamai not being on the board could cost those Maestro cameras staying alive in these late rounds, but we've seen that Akron doesn't exactly play around their utility in a typical way. They play very aggressively. JetCon, IMAP, Hennessy, they've been some of the standout players in terms of fracking, with some great supporting casts of Vitriol and Arv. it's going to be exciting to see how they exploit this much larger map with much more opportunities for flank plays and roams, and how UDEM are able to negotiate this, control the roam aggression, and manage their droning in, and allow them to keep tempo on these attacks.
Ooh, that's nearly lining up with the Jaeger through the barricade. His position well known now, and actually getting tagged up a little bit through the master bedroom wall, I believe, if that's not reinforced. Will force him back. It seems like IMAT really has no plans of sticking around. He'll give it up, and with that, so too goes JetCon. So, statuary and trophy control soon to fall to the UDEM offense, who seem keen to give it up instead of trying to hold it for dear life. This is the smart play here, and it's curious that we see a attempt at an extension over towards statue and trophy rather than the more common Goyo hold of study.
Bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. We often see Akron play less around their deployable shields and more around these aggressive plays, but we've seen University of Montreal, they've been able to avoid that aggression. They've recognized that immense pressure that these fraggers played in the first map, with JetCon finding an immense opening kill this first time around, and they've been able to absorb it. They recognize where their opponents have played, and while the impact trick does come out on one of those Selma breaching charges, they've been able to set themselves up in a very good position. Flash bangs down the frag grenade, perfectly cooked to perfection, and Montreal, they are setting themselves up for an amazing round. They look so good so far. They've been finding their kills. They've been finding these impact frags. They'll need to convert this early game pressure into late game pressure, but they are poised to do just that.
Well, you'll be glad that Hennessy got out of the way of that Selma when he was down, so now he's back up and in the fight, and Nomad accidentally flashing herself just a little bit. So go back on the prone angle, but actually down, continuing to re-peek IMAT through the gunvault wall. A questionable decision, and you didn't check your corners. Woo! Here comes JetCon, shutting down Max Payne. And UDEM, they started off oh so well, but everything seems to be falling apart. No kills just yet for them. And with only 13 seconds, a prone hole open in the gun vault wall, and a mute SAS defender lying in wait. This is going to be a huge mountain to climb, and well, it just doesn't seem too possible. Platts maybe holding out to get himself a little bit of a KD boost, but Akron take round number 1 without dropping a single player.
Yeah, and while they didn't drop a single player, a quick check at the health bars and a quick watch of the round would tell you that that round was much closer than its near flawless nature would have suggested. The players of Akron, while they did win their gunfights, they won them by very slim margin. Hennessy barely able to get himself out of position. Matt, Arv, Jet, all were on just single bars of health below 25 HP. And if a single frame, a single extra round hit from any of the attackers, that could have very easily gone the other side. Villa is one of the more defender-sided maps compared to a map like Cafe. However, it's still very possible for these very solid attacking lineups to find 3-3 splits. And it's gonna come down to how well these teams get. We see them start out strong, but their opponents are smart. They know how to adapt, and it'll be crucial to see how, on this second defensive rotation, how Montreal are able to try and find weaknesses in the strategies of Akron, how they find ways to exploit the extensions that Akron are trying to help, and whether Akron will simply keep those strategies or whether they'll evolve to try and find the weaknesses in the attackers.
Attackers have recovered their diffuser.
So here's that AVG extension, which we talked about during the pre-game. Vitriol hanging out just through the gun vault door, and they've got all the reinforcements played here. Choosing to focus less on holding inside of the master bedroom, and Montreal seem like they will be establishing the study take. They've got a full stack. Mozzie Pest, however, will deny them the intel. You're not going to be able to drone in through Aviator just yet, and you'll have to rotate through, but really wasting no time here. They're moving in, establishing positions inside study, and Silence just eager for an opportunity to aggress through into Aviator and Games. Platz is ready to hold off the 90 flank, and looks like Silence might be aware that Aviator itself is clear, but you'll need to worry about this player inside Gunvault. A drone will come through, and I'm not sure if that got captured by a pest, but what it certainly has done is revealed Vitriol's position.
Hacked a drone.
Yeah,
Bullseye.
with so many of these very narrow doorways, the Mozzie Mute combination is so very strong. As we can see on that voice line just here, Vitriol nabbing and drone, slowing down that presence and forcing Akron to either take the time to take out these pests or take blind gunfights. Akron, though, are running out of those utility pieces. UDEM are collapsing and they're finding the kills, but Akron have done a good job. Time is ticking down, 90 seconds remaining on the clock. They bought some time, but will it be enough?
It's so unusual. I wonder if he
Attackers dropped the
had
diffuser.
a rotate open, or if he was just so shocked by the four-way
located by
crossfire we saw
attackers.
set up by UDEM that he wasn't able to get it. Oh, a wonderful long shot by IMAT out through the master bedroom window. Max Payne attempting a rotate means that your hard breach is dead. Silence on the ash. One of the key fraggers from Cafe, but are able to get one of his own, and ooh, so close to taking out IMAT holding the master bedroom. Just betrayed, though. UDEM cannot seem to surmount the very difficult doorway barrier. Flashes will come out, wasting what utility lies inside statue, but there's a Malusi Banshee that'll slow their way, and seeing as Silence only has one remaining ash charge, it's going to be a very difficult decision whether you want to clear this. Tear down the shield, and it almost exposes the smoke.
Whiz!
IMAT, however, goes down, jumping over Arv, getting himself another kill,
15
putting us in a
seconds
2-on-2. UDEM with 2 remaining defenders on low HP.
10 seconds
And a
left.
late rotate by Bananas. He moves in through the master bedroom. A crucial kill, though, taking out Hennessy, and now we'll have to see Arv come up big on the clutch. The SMG-11 gets him 1 kill, but Silence, he isn't sticking the plant. Oh, and he gets it! What a shot from the Ash!
Holy... A Silence, that was ridiculous! The snapshot play and a bit of a misstep coming out from Arv. He didn't quite need to peek that just yet. Might have missed the plant queue in the midst of the chaos, but that was absolutely ridiculous. Arv, though, he stepped up. He was one of the quieter players on the first map. He found some great kills, but Montreal, we said that they were the more strategic team. They showed that, but they have the fragging potential there. They have the absolutely stunning
protect your bombs from being
plays,
defused by attackers.
and they are putting them on full display to find these rounds.
Well, Villa promised us a close game, and this is exactly what has been transpiring so far. UDEM, they were able to shut down Vitriol early, but I know you talked about it. Once they did that, it was so much of a time sink. They had 4 attackers committed to clearing out the Mozzie, and things began to look down. But Bananas rotating in through the master bedroom, a questionable decision in the heat of the moment, but the crossfire he got onto Trophy was so valuable in shutting that down, moving it to a 2 versus 1. We saw him fell as Arv moved on in with the SMG-11, but being that gun has such a low magazine, he didn't have enough in the mag to re-aggress to peak Silence, and so he was forced back. He had to reload, he had to play that passively, and that gave Silence the perfect opportunity. Bait out the plant. Went for it once, didn't work. He got off. Arv was trying to peek him. Went for it again, same thing. The third time, though, was the charm, and we saw him swing, and Silence with the R4C, well, just seems he won that gunfight.
Yeah, that came down to the wire, and it is just so representative of this match. Both teams, in each rounds over the course of the map, they have just been trading blow for blow. Neither team is giving anything up for free. Each team, they're both incredible fragging teams. Akron, they show that they have the ability to adapt, and Montreal now have just this insane ability to clutch out a seemingly unwinnable rounds as once again we move to the same site. We'll see a similar setup, a similar lineup, but the attackers approaching it in a much different manner. They're going to move towards this east side, but they have not made their presence known all that much on the site. UDEM is just slowly circling on, but Akron, they have the ability to burn the time out. They'll be able to slow down their opponents, and it's going to be a very difficult ask for them to make this execute with all 5 players remaining, as well as a ton of utility and nitro cells for the side of Akron.
Crucial kill there from Silence, but Bananas shuts down Jetcon. Vitriol quick on the refrag, and so too is Arv. The headshot onto the ass of the SMG-11. This is a very fast-paced round. Explosives detonate below the site, and Smoke turning his back to the Astro stairs, a risky decision. Moving on up, it looks like the concussion will detonate, and Sophia chooses not to aggressively peek. Another start and stop from the Montreal offensive, who seem to be mostly unsure about what the next step in their execute is. A slim angle opened by the Selma Breacher will allow them the ability to watch the split rotate, but seeing as Smoke is continuing to hold this aggressive inside Astro, he'll ultimately move through, but oh no, where's the coverage? They weren't watching the feed holes, and he'll escape. Platts goes down, the SMG-11 from deep inside of Trophy. They open up the wall hole, but Bananas on the refrag. Might be able to pick him up here. A nitro cell tossed out, but it's too short, and it hits the doorway. Platts, being that he's so fast, the perfect opportunity to pick himself up. Vitriol fragging back as he trades things out, and now Platts forced to go aggressive. No control of the diffuser, and a Banshee in the way, but Bananas in a triple kill, making the effort. They'll recover the diffuser on the wraparound, but Platts won't stick it. He's back on it, though, and Bananas will come through from split. Now we'll begin the post-play. The big question is, where's this coverage? I'm at Peak's aggressive, but Bananas is ready for it. A 4K from him. Back-to-back strong performance from the University of Montreal.
And each team is just showing up on the server immaculately. You started off the round with a great kill from Silence, a pretty clean kill onto the Malusi of Hennessy. But Akron, not to be outdone, they were in a position to capitalize off of just that, and they found a quick 2 kills that were traded out with another from the side of Montreal. From there, it started to simmer down. It didn't quite pop off exactly at that moment. Both teams recognizing that there's still time on the clock, still time to play with for the side of Montreal. And Montreal, they played that just immaculately. It is incredible to see Bananas showing up. We saw him on map 1. He was absolutely incredible. I believe he was on something like 13 kills, 14 kills at the end of that all. And look at the other side of Akron. Vitriol and R leading their team in kills. They were the bottom fraggers in the previous game. It just goes to show how deep the lineup on both of these teams are. As we move to our other second floor site, it's the site that Akron won in the first round in a pretty convincing win. But Montreal, they looked very good in the beginning of that round. They were able to clear the horizontal extension, and they'll look to go one step further. They have been able to adapt. They have been able to slowly seize the pace of this game. And Akron, the ball is in their court now. They need to be the ones to seize control. Otherwise, Montreal, they've looked so strong. They're not making mistakes.
2 defenses of statuary and 2 different attacker strategies. It seems to be also what we'll see in this round as our second round of Gladiator games comes to the fray. An Ash charge below forces Vitriol to move a bit backwards lest he take all the damage from that explosion. And now they'll clear this angle. Arv incredibly aggressive with the SMG-11, but IMAT moving down the main stairs takes out Platts. Sophia losing out early is a crucial kill considering the effectiveness we saw those concussion grenades have in the lifeline from the last round, and the SMG-11 wins it. A crazy gunfight as Arv ultimately will file on through with the shotgun to finish that one off, and Akron with a strong advantage on this bomb site once more. You gotta watch out for IMAT, though. We saw what happened in this corner last time.
Yeah, and those are two crucial frags, like you were saying. Those concussive charges, as well as those Ash breaching rounds, are pretty much your sole hope for taking down deployable shields, as well as the Maestro and Malusi gadgets from range. Now, Wiz being taken down by JetCon on the other side of the map, Matt winning his kills, and this is just all going the favor of Akron. Montreal, they looked so solid in these previous rounds, but Akron, they're stepping up, they're finding their kills. This is the aggression that we saw coming out on these early rounds in Cafe, and we're seeing it once again. And Montreal, they've looked so good with their default strategies, but they need to remember how aggressive Akron were, and they need to counter it. Otherwise, they're just going to be shut down. Banana's now in a 1v5. This is pretty much a tactical timeout for him. They just have to slow down, figure out what went wrong, because that was a dominant round from Akron.
There's so much time left on the clock here, so this is just such an awkward situation. I think Bananas hanging out down here will maybe give this team an opportunity to talk it out. The attacks on this bomb site both times have just been utterly unsuccessful. IMAT appearing to be a bit confused by the SMG-11 shots through the floor. And it's ultimately very confusing to see Montreal find so much success in attacking Statue, but going over towards Aviator and Games, frankly, the main bomb site on this map,
15 seconds left.
and just not even get close at all. I mean, if Bananas gets another kill, this won't be flawless, but it is, in a lot of respects, 2 flawless rounds. Akron finding a ton of success and having a little bit of fun there in the bomb site.
Yeah, and while the first round was slightly flawless, actually, the final, remember, of Montreal not dying because time did tick down, but it was a much closer round. You could see the game plan from Montreal. They still had themselves a 5v5 later into the round, 90 seconds remaining on the clock. While they began their assault onto Vault, they looked good. They looked like they had roads to success. They looked like they had a win condition, as you might say. This time, it was just Akron just slamming them in a dominating fashion. This is what our early rounds on Cafe looked like. It looked like JetCon and IMAT just going to town. Now they're joined by Vitriol and Arv, and that's very scary. Now Montreal, they don't have to worry about 3 fraggers. They now have to worry about 5. And Akron, if they can keep up this measured aggression, they can start to chip away at the lead that Montreal have. If this does go a 4-2 split, it'll be a good half for both teams. It's a typical result to see on Villa, but it's going to be more how these teams carry their momentum into the second half as we once again move on to this trophy statuary side, where we've seen Montreal be so successful in very close rounds back-to-back.
It is a bit odd that we'll see them try this site for the 3rd time, being that it wasn't successful in either of the previous 2 attempts. I wonder if this is maybe Akron saying, okay, well, those other 2 rounds, they came down to 1-on-1, 2v2 gunfights where it could have swung either way, and so let's head back to it. Let's maybe make a few small little changes and see if we can finally steal it out.
Yeah, and with the newfound aggression that Akron have, I think that this is a definite good strategy. If Vitriol can not only slow the members from this northwest side down, but also find a trade kill, that would be crucial. However, we do see him fall back. It will keep him alive for quite a bit more time, but it will sacrifice map control earlier on. Akron, they will be giving up. They will be ceding control of Aviator. They're not playing around those mute and Mozzie gadgets as strictly as they were the first time around. And it will allow Montreal to set up their attack earlier on. This time, though, in a 5v5.
I suppose Vitriol playing a bit more passive is a lesson learned from the first time you attacked this bomb site. We saw him go down inside of Gun Vault, which ultimately felt like it didn't have much effect on the course of the round, but a frag is a frag, and ultimately Montreal were able to push through and win that insane clutch. So now that they've sat with time wasted, without a kill on Vitriol to claim, this does look like Akron may just be able to take the round. You've also got to worry about a roamer, Ozzy opening up in the art storage barricade, looking for the ace, so spot the movement of that operator, but IMAT, in the meantime, has taken quite a bit of punishment. A wonderful long angle. What a clip for Vitriol and taking out Max Payne. And now, without your hard breach, attacking this bomb site just got 3 times harder.
Yeah, and that controlled aggression is just coming out for the side of Akron as our finding kill Vitriol, finding another, and just dropping back is paying off as they are finding kills. They're collapsing on the attackers, and it now is the side of Akron who are smothering their opponents out. Wiz finding a 2-kill, Wiz finding a double, and now all of a sudden it's back into a 2-on-2. Akron now have the ability to go for this miracle clutch once again. Silence on the other side, allowing Wiz to get this bomb plant down, and all of a sudden it's back into a 2v2. The clutch is real for the side of Montreal.
Need to protect the diffuser. Position
Well,
compromised.
shutting down the Ash prevents you from defusing, or rather prevents you from defending this below, and the air jab will bait an over-aggressive swing from Wiz, so no more clutches. We won't see a third come through from Montreal on this bomb site, as JetCon will get that counter defuse and finally take a victory on this side. It was so worrying. See them go from a 5-on-2, from a shutout round, and the Nomad moving on through to combine with Ash's kill and make that just almost possible.
That was absolutely impeccable for the side of Montreal. They didn't get shaken by the fact that they got absolutely demolished in the first part of that round. Vitriol falling back, finding 2 kills of his own, as well as Arv on the smoke, finding one of the kills onto the very low health members of the side of Montreal. But both teams striking at each other, finding advantages. That was a much closer round than it, in all honesty, should have been. But it just goes to show how closely these two teams are matched.
Attackers
If you
need to
give
locate and defuse as many bombs as
anyone
they can.
a single inch, if you give any members of Montreal a single millimeter to take that headshot, they'll hit it. And vice versa. Akron, they're so good at picking up the slack. It is just incredible to see as we move for the first time in this map to the first floor bomb site. It will be the final round of the half that will decide whether we'll go into the second half with a solid tempo advantage for the side of Akron with 4 straight rounds in a row,
10
or
seconds remaining.
whether we'll see University of Montreal take this in a 3-3
5
split
seconds left.
half.
Finally making the decision to
Attackers are
go
moving
down
out to
to
locate
the
a bomb and
tertiary
defuse it.
bomb site. This is the only one aside from Living Room Library, which unfortunately doesn't get a whole lot of play, not to come out so far. And I think this is probably the right decision to head down to. You want to be able to defend things and not give Montreal another attempt to play a bomb site they're familiar with. If you had headed over to Aviator Games, I think that would give Platts and the rest of his team an opportunity to rethink their attacking setup. And when you give a strong execute team like Montreal multiple attempts to suss out your strategy, it's not going to go too well for you.
Yeah, we saw them on the first half. They faced some significant issues in the beginning versus Akron. They were able to suss them out, and they were able to approach this well. Now, though, they don't have that additional initial information. And we see Vitriol going for the Nitro Cell. That's an amazing hit onto Bananas, striking first in this round. An absolute perfect placement coming out from him as Montreal now in a 4v5. This surely should be
Located by
Akron
attackers.
finding the half 4-2 with them still having control of this second floor.
You couldn't have asked for a better opening kill, shutting down that crucial soft breacher and a wonderful Nitro Cell. Oh, what a play by Hennessy. It'll take out Silence on the drone. That is 100 IQ. He was sitting in the shower stall, got removed. What is Nomad doing? Looking the wrong way. She'll go down. Arv and Imat, respectively, but Wiz will trade one back. Ultimately, though, the T5s rule the day as Akron exit the half with a 4-2 scoreline and some great explosives play.
Yeah, that was absolutely spectacular for the side of Akron, and this game is showing up perfectly. Montreal, though, now the tempo advantage is not on their side. Momentum is such a big aspect of these best of series. You get tired, you slow down, your brain stops working as quick as it should be, and you make mistakes. It's more on how well you can carry on your form with that momentum, with that confidence play. And we will see Montreal on this defense. They looked so strong this first time around. They're so good at burning down the utility and time of their opponents. And on a larger map like Villa, where you do have to invest a tad bit more time in clearing out these roams and horizontal extensions, I think Montreal are in for a very promising half, given how well they were able to set themselves up in the previous times. Looking at their lineup, this is just a ridiculously unfun setup to go up against. You have two Maestro cameras, which are bulletproof, and you want to destroy them, but you also want to destroy the two Goyo shields, as well as the two deployable shields that Wamai and Smoke have to deploy. But to do that, you have to remove the 3 Jaeger ADSs, as well as the possible 5 Wamai magnets that he can throw anywhere. And top that all off with some smoke charges as well, and some nitro cells for good measure. And you have a very difficult position. Akron, it's going to be a tough execute for them, and considering the fact that they only have 3 flashbangs, it's going to be just a nightmare for them to manage.
Well, an operator we haven't seen since UDEM's top floor cafe slowdown hold, and it seems like Akron tried to focus more on either completely holding down the site or going for those frags, which they are so skilled in. And another operator which hasn't seen a whole lot of play this series is the Ying. And I wonder what the idea behind this is. Obviously, flashing your enemies is the main idea, but maybe this is a signal of a more larger, kind of rushing, aggressive mindset. Akron won't miss the crucial steps, though. They're at least attempting somewhat of a roam clear. They're not simply trying to rush the site. And a strong shield placement here. This is a great angle by Bananas. I'm going to have to screenshot this and save it for a couple of my ranked games, but he will be able to shut down anyone that tries to push through from 90 short.
Yeah, it's a great strategy, and we can see it is very daunting for Akron to attack. We see them taking control of this south side of the map. They have aggressed on this second floor. They're gaining control, as you can see from this lovely visual that's provided by our amazing observers here for us. But we can see Montreal, they're burning down the time, and they're finding this controlled aggression. Silence will be traded out, and all of a sudden, Akron will spring into action, but it's a minute remaining on the clock. It's a 4v4, and the defense side is still in prime position to repel the attackers. They have this secret utility of this Ying that we don't see all that often.
Well, the Ying will move in, detonate one of her Candelas, but ultimately getting tagged up by the Evil Eye, she's forced to rotate. Bananas attempting a flank through short. Could get lucky here. He spots Hennessy and takes off his head. Imat re-peeking. Will get whizzed, but Bananas and shutting down Vitriol. Imat, however, has taken control of the bomb site. The Sophia swinging out will end Bananas' kill spree. They'll have to recover the diffuser, however. Platz's position well known as the air jab detonates. It should be an easy retake of the bomb site for the offense. Get back in position.
But he has a nitro cell.
He does, and you have to worry about the Evil Eyes. They could very well send out a ping and deny this, or merely a sound cue, and it seems like Platz knows exactly where. Oh no, he's looking at the wrong player, though. He might get one kill. In fact, he will, shutting down JetCon, but doesn't deny the plant. A couple of smoke canisters are tossed out. This could confuse Platz into thinking that the Ying has rotated inside of Gunball. Moving on through. Without a nitro cell to toss over the wall, it's going to be difficult to retake this, especially with so many bullets to pre-fire. IMAT only needs one. Taps it right into the head as the attackers take a strong first round after the side switch.
That was ridiculously close. Every single frag was answered. It was looking so good, but the nitro cell just not quite connecting on that correct member, finding a kill, but not the crucial kill that he needed. And Goyo just so close. It's so just, this game is teetering on a knife's edge. We will see the side of Montreal return to Aviator games. And really, if this round goes a single frame differently, it could have easily tipped to the side of Montreal. If
Attackers
they find
need to locate
a
and defuse
single
bombs.
piece more of damage with one of those Maestro cameras, if a single frag goes the way of their opponents, it's just absolutely incredible. Akron, though, one of the things that has been showing up for them is the fact that Hennessy and JetCon have been showing up later in these rounds. We saw them have a bit of a sleepy first half in comparison to their first half, but they're showing up now and just in time to slow down this comeback opportunity for the side of Montreal. Both teams are playing immaculately, but it's going to come down to how well they adapt to their strategies. We saw that
5
as the
seconds to
crucial
go.
aspect. Montreal brought out so many very scary
moving out and
defensive
located bombs.
setups that Akron ultimately were able to deal with in that first map. Montreal look poised to do the same thing this time around. However, Akron, they've learned from their mistakes. They've been able to threaten them, and they've been able to break through these defenses on the first try. It's looking great for the side of Akron, but Montreal, the ball is in their court. They have the opportunity to really make their name known and force this to a game 3.
What Bananas is looking at. Oh, he's stuck. That's
No.
that's very unfortunate. He's sitting here. I wonder if his mouse broke. Oh, maybe he's back. Oh, is he good? We'll find out soon. That would not be good to lose.
It looks like we're back.
We're back. Okay, it wouldn't be good to lose Jaeger on what is essentially the gateway to match point. Hennessy will go down, Nitro Cell from below, but IMAT on the Ying continues to have impact as the fragger for Akron.
He's finding the...
Located.
Confirm it. Oh, that is just so cheese. He's done. And what a way to get the refrag and put this even. Well, the down was largely in part to the Nitro Cell, so you can chalk that up to creative use of an evil eye and refragging that down player. And Bananas being back up and in the fight means he can continue in this position at 90, though lacking the shield we saw him holding earlier. Curious that Max Payne still has one in pocket. I wonder if this is maybe them saving it for a late round setup, though I imagine could just be a situation where they weren't able to get it down in time. It is a bit unusual, though.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's a definite misplay coming out from them, but the side of Montreal, they're still in 4v4. Akron still have to make this execute happen, and we've seen so many of these late round plays go to the side of Montreal. They have that clutch opportunity there for them. It's just going to come down to how well these teams execute, as Max Payne going for the late round reinforcement.
Very late. More pre-fires coming out from IMAT. He's got so many bullets he can continue to shoot all day. Platts unfortunately moves in front of his teammate, not the intended target, but the one who dies nonetheless. JetCon shutting down Wiz. Bananas down. IMAT on a triple kill, and now Max Payne, the smoke with an SMG-11 has to shut down 4. He gets the first. Though with players deeper inside the bomb site, this will be a difficult task. Vitriol moves in to begin the plant, and the good crossfire. If Max Payne moves on, and he should get taken out, an air jab violently jerks him out of position, and Arv with the AK-12 makes quick work as Akron take us to match point. 6-2, series point, in fact.
Yeah, and with that round going so monumentally in the favor of Akron, it looks like they've just sussed out their opponents. Montreal, they have a mountain to climb. They need 4 rounds in a row, each of them on map point, to force it to overtime, to even have a chance of forcing it to a game 3. It looked very good leading into this match. They had the 2-1 round advantage, but ever since then, Akron, they've won 5 rounds in a row. They have looked so dominant. And while these rounds have come down to the wire, they've been the ones edging out their opponents. We will see the adaptation coming out. The first
Attackers
floor
need to
site
locate and
is
defuse as
going
many
to
bombs
be
as they
the
can.
site that will determine the rest of this match for the side of Montreal. They have a very similar lineup. Wiz bringing out the castle. But I think the nerves are getting to them. Not deploying that deployable shield from Max Payne in that previous game, that could have allowed them just that single bit more time, that could have gotten them that single frag. And I think they're starting to make misplays due to the fatigue of this series. And Akron, they're having none of those issues. All of their players
10
are
seconds
still
left before
showing up.
insertion.
And they're showing up even greater than they did on the first match.
5 seconds
compared
left
to
before
Montreal,
insertion.
where you see players like Platts and Max Payne, who were
Attackers are moving
notable
out to locate a
forces
bomb
on
and
the
defuse
first
it.
match, starting to fall off and starting to feel that fatigue of this best of 3 series.
So, I guess we're going to head down to the quaternary bomb site, being that the living room library defense is up next. Montreal with another creative defensive setup. Looks like we'll be seeing them hold inside of Piano. They've got plenty of reinforcements, castle barricades deployed. Akron approached the front lobby as well as begin to take up the top floor. Vertical play is something I mentioned as being an important step on this bomb site and all other first floor sites. And the Ying spotted. If he can get this kill, it would mean so much. An impact grenade tossed up. Will down, I believe, Matt. No. A little bit of lag there, but he's moving back and safe in position. Good to have your key fragger, the top fragger, in fact, stay alive a little bit longer. And a crucial missed opportunity. Malusi winning that would have meant a ton, and it could have very well changed the course of this round. Candela detonated a over towards Banana with the hope of removing him, and I'm not sure what Wiz is trying to do, shooting up through the floor and bathroom.
Yeah, Matt, I love this play coming out from Akron. The fact that they're bringing this Ying, it has worked out so well. But it will be Montreal this time around finding the initial frag. Bananas finding that initial kill, and that's something that we haven't seen coming out from Montreal in this match at all, really, aside from the 2 rounds that they won. It looks very good, but Akron are swinging back. Vitriol and Matt with 2 trade frags. They want to end this right now.
Might as well close it up while you're ahead, and a long angle held by Wiz tags up Vitriol, though only to a small degree. Silence still in art storage, and Platts will move on through to take out Ars. IMAP, the crucial fragger, the Ying goes down, and now man advantage for UDEM. This castle hold proving to work them wonders, and this is going to make a crucial obstacle in the path of the Akron offensive. Trying to stack up inside of lobby, pushing into library is going to be quite a kill box. Maybe rotate through the bathroom window. That could be successful, just so long as you remain in the element of surprise. But with the rotate from the castle opening up some of these holes, they should have a key piece of intel should this execute go that way.
Yeah, but the time is running down the side of Akron. They now have the disadvantage. Montreal, they are looking very good to close this out with just 30 seconds remaining on the clock.
The attacker's bomb diffuser has been
Ooh,
dropped.
he jumps over and goes down. Silence to get the last 2 kills. Was that a quad for him? It certainly was impactful in the mute. Really coming up big. Nice angle there. Unfortunate for Akron. They kind of got lined up, and so almost a collateral for him. Montreal are not done just yet, and what a Cinderella story would it be for them to come back, take us to overtime, and send us to the decider.
Yeah, and we will return to the second floor, but this time going to trophy and statuary. It's gonna be a long road, but one they have made, with the first step being on that quaternary bomb site, and that could just be what they need. Try something out of the ordinary. Do something that your opponents have not seen. The 6th pick over to the Malusi, pretty typical. Malusi, if she's not banned, which she very rarely is, she's almost always played.
Defenders, protect
She's
your
so
bombs from being
important.
defused
She's
by attackers.
kind of falling into a similar, like, must-pick aspect that Smoke and Jaeger are in. You see them so commonly, but you're not often seeing them banned, as there's other defenders that are a tad bit more impressive. And we'll have to see how Montreal can play around that. How are they able to burn out the time of Akron? It looked like they were able to find their opponent's number in the first map, but on these
10 seconds
defenses this
remaining.
time around, it's taken a lot more time for them to
5
learn
seconds
how to
left.
do that. Akron have been able to steamroll these attacking rounds.
Attackers are moving
They've
out
been
to locate
able
a bomb
to
and defuse
find
it.
so much impact. They've been able to find so much tempo, and they haven't been slowed down by these very utility-centric setups from the side of Montreal. And it'll be interesting to see how they adapt. How are they going to slow down the doom train that has been Akron? Or are Akron just going to be able to get back on their horse after a bit of a hiccup of round?
Oh, what a shot by JetCon. Wiz, you had to know he was going to pre-fire that. And
Attackers have located a bomb.
fortunately, he gambled and he lost full. That
was
could not have
shooting
gone any
a hole
worse.
in the wall, and you ran into him. That is a punishing mistake, and now Akron looking on map point for this victory to close out this series, map and series point. They now have the advantage with a ton of time on their side.
UNM have come back from negative man advantage situations before, and losing your Cade early not the most impactful kill as compared to maybe something like a Jaeger or Maestro. Bananas could be next, however, in a risky position holding red. He peeks up. He could surprise the Akron
Bomb located by
attackers as they
attackers.
move down short, or he could be the victim of yet another kill. This is too early to tell. I think the course of the round, as Akron, they've got the opener, but they have in some parts taken a bit more time than you would want to.
Yeah, Akron, though, they're falling into the trap that they did in the previous round. They're letting time run low. Despite getting the man advantage, they need to exploit that. Bananas on the roam is going to factor into this round crucially. If he's able to find the backstab, if he's able to find these kills, that could spell absolute disaster for the side of Akron. The Nitro Cell not finding its mark, another thing going their way, but time ticking down. Malusi finding the kill, equaling these man camps out. This is looking very good for the side of Montreal to come back from this man disadvantage.
Especially with Banana still on the flank, IMET will shut down the lats, so Lucy only getting one kill. Maestro with the Alda still holding on this long angle, but the LMG of Yang, an equally powerful weapon. Bananas actually has rotated back to site. Arv will take him down, and the plant as well is going to be difficult to shut down. IMAT will find another kill. He's just been so impactful, and Akron will close it out as they steal the series 2-0 in a dominant showing on Villa.
Yeah, after that first map, it looked so good for both teams. However, it looks like Akron just sussed out their opponents. They found their number, and they just continued that form into the second map. A much more dominant showing. There was glimpses of brilliance, but Montreal ultimately falling in a much less contested affair. Max Payne, he was the second top fragger in the previous game, just falling off 1 in 10. Unfortunate to say the least, but we will see both of these teams in playoffs, and I'm so glad because of that. We will be able to get the interview underway very shortly, and I'll be excited to see the insights onto how these teams played around it, because that was just a series chock full of innovation on both sides.
Certainly was, and it was so disappointing to see Cafe be so close. It was back and forth. We saw Montreal in some rounds were completely flawless, but ultimately their defensive setups on Villa were not up to the task. And despite that being a strong map for such a defender-sided, well-stratted team, I think Montreal simply were not prepared, or maybe they didn't want to put on full display their strategies of that map, seeing as this was a seeding game. I'm really hoping that we'll see these two teams come together for the grand final, because they deserve a best of 5, and that would be an incredible game to see.
Yeah, And mental resilience coming out on top, I would have to say, for this side of Akron. All of their players showed up equally on the second map. So they showed that they are prepared to go the distance. They're prepared to duke it out. And Montreal, they still have time to work at it. They still have time before the playoffs. They'll be able to go back to the drawing board. They'll be able to run through the VODs, figure out what went wrong, and really take the fight to Akron in these later series. But we'll have to see how they find themselves up. And it looks like we will have an interview with Jet from the side of Akron.
So the top fragger, that impact player from Cafe, I think he was at something like 17 and 5. He just had so many kills. We saw on almost every kitchen attack he got a massive amount of, I think, a multi-kill in one round. Where did our producer go?
Yeah. I'll have to see. I think he's bringing him up. But we'll have to see how that comes out. Just
Al, we don't have a
amazing
producer.
performances on that first
Oh,
map.
there we go. CDC,
We're back, baby.
welcome back. We were worried.
All right, and we'll be getting him in. I'll be excited to see. Welcome to the desk, Jack Con. An amazing best of 3 series that you wrapped up in 2 maps and very close maps at that. How are you feeling after that?
I'm feeling good. It was fun. I always enjoy playing. I love my team.
Yeah.
We the first map. Never mind. Sorry. Continue.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the first map they kind of caught us off guard. They had some weird strats we weren't ready for, but once we realized they weren't on par with us with gun skill, we decided to take it more aggressive. We kind of laid back some of the rounds. We took it more aggressive. We kind of found our groove, which showed in the second map.
Yeah. Well, that was an amazing performance. Like you were saying, those aggressive plays. We saw some, I guess, unorthodox strategies, not bringing the Wamai that we typically see on Cafe. How did you plan on holding that third floor, and how did you play around with that aggression? You found so many kills, and that was the linchpin. How did you develop those strategies against a team that was so methodical like Montreal?
We have a good coach, Fozo. He helps us, so I was able to kind of counter strat the guy playing Pixel, so I could go in the window. I didn't get the kill, but I did light him up. I got 2 lights, 2 people hurt off that. So we just have a good coach that helps us having different things we can go to hold angles on different types of defenses. And then on defense, basically without us playing the my, I just played very aggressive on the Shiko spot to try and get some early picks.
Yeah. Well, that was an amazing series. Stick, do you have any questions for Jet?
Um, I suppose I could look back at Cafe. I wanted to ask what was going through your mind on round number 11. It was a kitchen attack, and Montreal attempted what I called a Cafe SSG roam. They were holding with castle barricades up on the second floor inside of dining and train. How did you guys plan to defeat that? Because it's a very unorthodox strategy and one that I haven't actually seen before on the map.
Our plan, I think we sent Matt and Hennessy up to try and clear, and they ran into some problems. And I think we never sent any more support, and I think they just helped distract while the 3 of us, me, Arv, and Visual, took sight. So, I mean, I think we got a little lucky. We'll play it definitely differently next time, but we just need more support up top to get those roamers out. I think we just got lucky with that one time.
Okay. Sort of what came into it as far as the map banning phase? Picking Villa, UDEM, a very structured team, as Al mentioned, and very well thought out on the defense with some of their strategies. Going to such a defender-sided map like Villa, did that factor in at all, or was your team simply prepared to bring that aggressiveness that saw you win so many rounds?
100% prepared. Our favorite map is Villa. I do believe it is our best map. We were very confident going in. No matter what they pick, we knew that their favorite map was Cafe, and we were perfectly prepared to attack them on it.
Yeah. I'd have to ask though, with you guys banning out consulate, sorry, I never mind. I read that completely wrong. I thought you guys banned out coastline. that makes a lot more sense that you left Coastline up. That was an incredible series. Going into these playoffs, that's got to be an absolute confidence boost. How do you feel moving into these longer series, going into this best of fives? We saw some amazing mental resilience. Are you guys doing anything special for these series? Because you guys looked absolutely dominant in today's match on Villa.
I don't think we're gonna do anything special. We might hit a war bump scrim before one of our matches. But we're just a confident team. We know what we're capable of, and we're just gonna, just keep playing.
All right. Well, thank you for the wonderful thought out answers. And once again, congratulations on your victory. It was a wonderful series to cast. In fact, probably my favorite collegiate game I've seen so far. But with that being said, I'd like to wish you a good evening, good luck in playoffs, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that about wraps things up from us. Two wonderful series. We can go ahead and walk down memory lane to relive what we saw. Our first series was a dominant showing by Kennesaw State. They came out, they were prepared, and their attacking strategies were excellent. They shut down any hopes for Florida Poly to win in that series, only dropping 2 rounds total across their maps played, and there is nothing that can be said other than it was dominant, and they are a really big team you want to watch out for. Our second series, very historical. 2 of the strongest collegiate teams across the nation, and they came to play. Unfortunate, though, that we didn't see the full 3 maps come through or any overtimes. I'm glad to have been here for the cast. Al, any closing thoughts before we go ahead and send this one home?
Yeah, I really was hoping for that second game to go to a full 3 series, but Akron, they looked so good, and I'm excited to see how these 2 teams prepare. Whether Akron will just add another title to their very long, storied list, or whether Montreal will be back with a vengeance with something to prove as we move into the playoffs. It's going to be an amazing series. It's going to be an amazing playoff bracket, and I am excited to see how these teams adapt.
All right. I do believe we have a couple other games coming up tomorrow. It should be Texas Tech versus Longhorn Gaming, as well as SHSU Esports versus the NSU Riverhawks. That'll be starting at 7 p.m. ET, so be sure to tune in. Once again, thank you everyone who tuned in for our 2 long and very well thought out series. I've been Sticula, joined by Al, as well as our producer Henry, or rather our producer CDC, and our observer Henry. Thanks everybody. Have a good night.
I'm going